Hello everyone, welcome to the Lightning Ball channel. If you haven't subscribed to my videos yet, please do so and turn on the notification bell. Your support is the driving force behind my continued efforts. In our last episode, we discussed Demon Lord Guy's sudden visit to the Monster Federation, his verbal clash with Diablo, and the time-stop battle he had with Chloe. Eventually, an agreement was reached within the Demon Lords, allowing Rimuru to become the overseer of the Western nations. Meanwhile, far to the east, the Empire is gearing up, poised to invade the Jura Great Forest. So, what kind of nation was this empire, and why were they launching a war now? In this video, we'll delve into the pre-war preparations and the story of the Eastern Empire. Let's get started. Months passed since that meeting. The world experienced a brief period of peace. The number of adventurers and merchants visiting the Monster Federation continued to rise. The magic train routes co-developed by various nations were gradually being inaugurated, and everything seemed to be progressing positively. However, reports provided by Soyai and Moss indicated that military supplies were continuously being transported to the major cities in the Eastern Empire near the borderlines. By this point, even Rimuru realized that war was imminent. Thus, Rimuru and his subordinates began detailed preparations for the impending conflict. Based on intelligence gathered by Benimaru and Diablo, the available troops could be categorized into two factions, the left wing and the right wing. The right wing consisted of the Monster Federation's standing army. This included the Goblin Raiders and the Green Corps led by Gobda, totaling around 12,000 troops, the Orbic Army, Orange Corps, and Yellow Corps led by Orc Geld, amassing around 37,000 troops, and Hiryu and the Blue Corps led by Gabru, approximately 3,000 in number. In total, over 50,000 troops. When adding the Black Corps of demons and other personal guards, the total number of soldiers for the war stood at around 55,000. However, this force was not sufficient to stand against the Eastern Empire. This was where the left-wing, non-Monster Federation forces came into play. Unlike the right wing, the left wing was split into three main armies. Firstly, the Western Reserve Force, the standing army of the Western countries, numbered around 150,000. However, these troops were primarily for maintaining peace within their respective nations, serving as a reserve. Next, the Mixed Magian Corps, mainly comprised of former subordinates of the defeated Demon Lord Clayman. Most ranked around Class B, yet due to their history as captives, their strength wasn't substantial, totaling around 30,000. Lastly, the Volunteer Corps led by the Lightspeed hero Masayuki, consisted of humans living in the Jura Forest, adventurers, and mercenaries from neighboring countries, numbering over 20,000. With the assistance of Demon Lords Luminous and Milim, all these forces we mentioned above represented Rimuru's total war capability. Rimuru realized that war was truly on the horizon. Honestly, despite leveraging various forces, the Monster Federation was still numerically disadvantaged. Reports suggested that the Eastern Empire's troops numbered over 300,000, and it was conceivable they could amass an army of 1,000,000. But did the Eastern Empire really plan to annex the Western countries? Rimuru recalled Guy mentioning a game. Perhaps there was an underlying motive or instability within the empire itself. Regardless, Rimuru would not tolerate another invasion attempt. Whoever dared threaten Rimuru and his friend's paradise would face Rimuru's wrath without hesitation. This was Rimuru's firm stance. Having become a demon lord, he wouldn't repeat his past mistakes. Simultaneously, in the distant east, the empire's final pre-war drills were methodically underway. Soon, the empire, dormant for centuries, would awaken and unleash its long-restrained tyranny. The Eastern Empire, officially named the Nazca Namrium Ulmeria United Eastern Empire, was one of the world's oldest nations. Originally the small kingdom of Nazca, it absorbed the magic kingdom of Namrium and the Eastern Federation of Ulmeria, amassing overwhelming military power. No nation under its rule dared to betray, and Emperor Rudra held absolute control over this collective of nations. If one looked at the world map of Tensura, the empire would need to cross the Jura Forest to annex the western countries. But despite their power, they never ventured past the Jura Forest, owing to one reason: the storm dragon Veldora. 350 years ago, the ambitious empire, eager to expand, launched an assault on the Jura forest. They built a massive fortress city and trained an army of hundreds of thousands soldiers. Tragically, a foolish plan conceived by one of their commanders led to their ruin. This commander believed that the storm dragon, just a large lizard in his eyes, was no match for the mighty empire. Such a reckless notion enraged Veldora, and those who provoked him were obliterated, along with their fortress city. Records of their actions vanished as the archivists and their depositories were burnt to ashes. The empire's grievances and the emperor's ambitions were buried. For the next 350 years, any movement against the Jura forest was strictly forbidden. Silently, the empire accumulated power, awaiting the emperor's directive, leading to their dominant military strength. Amidst this backdrop, one figure made significant contributions to the empire: the ancient Eastern Empire imperial court mage, Gadra. Using his unique magic, reincarnation, Gadra lived for centuries, yearning for all kinds of knowledge, including tales from other worlds. Through Gadra's influence, individuals from other worlds received special treatment within the empire. This included technicians from their former world and reincarnated beings possessing unique skills and great amount of magicule. As the result, in stark contrast to the world of swords and magic that dominated the Western countries, the empire had pioneered a new era, fusing science and magic. With this background, the empire developed 3 core legions. The first, the Armored Division, symbolized the empire's technological prowess, featuring mecha technicians for adjustments and mechanized soldiers as the main force, equipped with modern military armaments like magitanks and airships. The second, the Magic Beast Division, became a symbol of the empire's power, formed from various powerful magical beasts, as the empire had acquired the ability to analyze and manipulate the power of magical creatures from other worlds. The third, the Composite Division, consisted of ultra-mechanized soldiers, berserk magical beasts specialized in their individual abilities to act cohesively, and individuals from other worlds possessing unique skills. This division was emblematic of the Empire's spirit. Above these main legions was the elite corps known as the Imperial Guardians, accessible solely based on strength, and characterized by a ranking system with serial numbers from 1 to 100. Entry into this elite group was only possible through victory in battles for rank. Despite having a mere 100 members, this corps possessed combat capabilities surpassing all other divisions, with smaller serial numbers indicating greater strength. The 3 main legions and their 3 commanders, the Imperial Guardians and their marshal, along with the legendary grade treasures they wielded, formed the foundational pillars of the Empire's invincibility. However, an anomaly recently occurred within the Empire. After decades, at a time when a change of legion leaders was due, a young man emerged, transforming the disunited Composite Division into a cohesive force with a strong collective will. This young man was Yuki Kagurazaka, who in less than a year, became one of the Imperial Guardians. The story picks up after Yuki's battle with Gi. Having narrowly escaped death, Yuki realized a critical truth: without absolute power, his plans to conquer the world were unattainable. He pondered over the peculiar incident during his fight with Gi, a voice that resonated from deep within when he was on the brink of death. Facing Gi, Yuki fully acknowledged his own weakness. It was then that he heard an inner voice, tempting him with power, promising him immense strength in exchange for his allegiance. This voice, unbeknownst to many, stemmed from the unique skill greed, which Yuki had acquired from Maria Bell. In that moment Yuki, without much deliberation, firmly rejected the voice. Trusting in himself, Yuki used his eloquence to escape from Gi's grasp. But once he calmed down, he realized that without power, he couldn't even protect his companions, let alone conquer the world. This reignited a fierce desire within Yuki to attain power. Once again, the voice resounded, tempting him to accept its power. Yuki closed his eyes and confronted the voice within, aiming not just to accept the power but to assimilate all of greed's strength. Even greed was taken aback. Yuki's greed surpassed its own. As Yuki declared greed a hindrance, he filled his mind with his true ambitions and, armed with an indomitable will, challenged himself. Then, the words of the world echoed and Yuki's unique skill Greed evolved into the ultimate skill, Lord of Greed, Mammon. When Yuki opened his eyes, a sinful monster had been born. Fast forward to the present. Leveraging the advantage of his ultimate skill, Yuki quickly carved out a niche for himself in the Empire, becoming the commander of the Composite Division. But this was just the first step in his plan. The second step was to choose an opportune moment for a coup. As the commander, Yuki had access to all the internal information of the Empire. By familiarizing himself with the Empire's military strategies, he could predict the outcomes of future conflicts. He foresaw that when the Empire and the Western countries were exhausted from war, the Empire's homeland defense would weaken, creating the perfect opportunity for a coup. Success in this endeavor would propel his plan to conquer the world significantly forward. Thus, Yuki was amassing power. Yuki, along with Kigali and the moderate Harlequin alliance under her control, as well as the secret society Cerberus founded by Yuki, were operating in the shadows. Cerberus key members included Damrata of Gold, Misha of Women, and Vega of Power. Unlike Rimuru and others, Yuki's power always lurked in the darkness. These covert forces collectively investigated potential threats. Yuki identified 3 individuals within the Empire who warranted caution: Master Gadra, Tatsuya Kandu, and a person seated beside the Emperor. Gadra, the great mage and oddity well versed in the Empire's internal affairs, had survived the battle with Storm Dragon Veldora 350 years ago. Tatsuya Kandu, head of the Imperial Intelligence Bureau, was an enigmatic individual from another world, who Yuki suspected to be among the top-ranked in the Imperial Guardians. Yuki acknowledged these 2 as potential obstacles but feared the last individual the most. Yuki was still unclear about this person's true identity, but it seemed no one, except Yuki, noticed their presence beside the Emperor. This revelation shocked everyone. They couldn't believe such a person existed. With such a prominent presence yet unnoticed by all, Yuki and his companions sensed ominous implications. A silence fell over the meeting. After some discussion, to ensure the smooth implementation of the coup, Yuki issued orders to Cerberus. Specifically, Damrata was to investigate Tatsuya Kandu, Misha was to win over the Armored Division's commander, and Vega was to infiltrate the Magic Beast Division. Yuki predicted that with Vega's strength, he would soon become an Imperial Guardian. However, given Vega's unpredictability, Yuki instructed him not to kill the commander of the Magic Beast Division. Thus, in that secluded room, Yuki and his associates exchanged glances, each embarking on their respective paths towards world domination. Alright, that concludes this video. In the next episode, we will delve into Rimuru's countermeasures and the investigation of Gadra. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Your support fuels my continued efforts. See you in the next one.